Club Car DS, gas, and I'm going to show you how to get the engine out of it, so that way maybe it'll help you guys at home if you ever need to do something like this. So this particular engine is locked up. The customer was just riding it around and said it just quit. And so once I got the cart off the trailer and into my shop here, I reached down and grabbed the clutch. And that's a no-go from there. So I want to show you how to get that out. Alright guys, so when you go to get the engine out of your cart, obviously you get the power off of your battery, so that just in case you accidentally hit something when you're getting the starter generator off, you ain't got to worry about it throwing sparks and possibly welding your wrench to it or messing up the starter generator somehow, or even melting down a cable. So okay, so now that we got the power off the battery, I like to just get all my little stuff out of the way first, which is going to be your fuel line, your vacuum hose, your ground strap from the frame to the engine, and your intake hose. And then I like to finish off the smaller things by getting our exhaust out the way. Alright, got my fuel line out the way, vacuum line out the way, going for the ground strap. So there's your flange bolts on both sides. You get them flange bolts off. Alright guys, so we got our, essentially the hose clamp that was out from around the muffler section of the exhaust. Just got the two 13mm nuts off the flange, and then the last one you got to get this bolt right here that hits this support bracket, just like that. And then you'll pull up, slide the muffler, and then you got to come up this way, and it comes right out. Okay, now we can see our exhaust out of the way completely. Next we're going to need to get under this cover. Alright guys, so the final thing I'm going to do before I jump to our starter generator and get it out the way is this cover right here. It's got to be taken off, getting out of the way so you can get to the throttle cable that comes to the carburetor. You got to let that go so that it'll, when you pull the motor out, it slides in between your starter generator bracket and the engine there. Comes right out, stays hanging, and you can see it. You can see it here. So two Torx bit screws there and a 10mm nut here. Get it out the way. This will slip out, come like up and forward. Comes right out. It's also okay if you don't have this cover too. A lot of carts that I see don't have this cover on it either. Just like that. So as you can see, here's our throttle cable. It has this pin in it, and you're going to have to pull the clip out of the pin and the pin from the cable to release the cable. There's your little pin, the little fella right there, and then there is your cable hold. And then your throttle cable will release because the 13mm bolt was holding the bracket to the engine there. Just leave it all together. And this time I'm going to get the carburetor out of the way. Once you pull these 10mm bolts, you just take this whole thing off by itself. You're going to get your breather hose. This is actually an emissions hose. It's just putting all unburned emissions right back into the carburetor, and the carburetor sucks it back in the engine. But you get that out of the way. There you go. That's the way I pull it off the motor. You can do it however you want. It's just what I find easiest for me. And like I said, that plate and stuff come off with my spring. Starter generator adjustment bolt that you need to take out completely. Plus you got to get the belt off, all the cables off of the starter generator, and all that good jazz. Most cases this cable right here is white, comes from your solenoid. This is the cable you need to take off, and this is the cable you need to take off. This is going to be your charging wire to the voltage regulator. 8mm on the small yellow wire, 10mm on the white wire. That is your adjustment bolt for the starter generator. You want to take it all the way off as well. On the front side of the starter generator, you're going to have two 14 mils here and one here. I've already taken it out because someone put the ground from the starter generator to the bolt right here. Then once you get your starter generator, your belts and all that out of the way, you'll be focusing on this right here. A couple zip ties hold the white wire to the accelerator cable. Make sure you cut those so that they don't come pulling themselves out together, because the cable has to come out this way, the little white wire has to come out that way. The white wire being able to move out of your way. Male and female bullet connectors right here. This connects it to the RPM limit box. Alright, so starter generator's out of the way. Now you can see the things that need to be unhooked a little easier. Accelerator cable with our white with black tracer wire on it. You're also going to have a little yellow wire that is your oil sending unit, so you're going to want to unplug it. Sometimes it may just unplug from the engine, sometimes it unplugs from the harness. You can see here male female bullet connectors here, so you can see the bracket, the hole in the bracket, and how I just pulled towards the front of the golf cart, slid the cable through the slit there in the bracket, back through right here, out from behind the dipstick tube, and then just lay it out of your way. Okay guys, so now we've gotten our accelerator cable out of the way, and like I said, that gets pulled back through here. We got our wiring harness disconnected from the engine now, and our starter generator. So when you get to this point, you only have 6 bolts left that holds this engine in this golf cart. There's 4 that are going to be holding the front side of the engine. Well, there's 2 holding the front side of the engine, 2 holding the back side of the engine, and then there's 2 that go into the back side of the engine carrier. So there are the 4 engine mounting bolts, and then here are the 2 nuts that hold the engine to the back side of our engine mount. They're back here. And so now that I got this loose, we'll get this thing pulled out. Alright guys, so one last important thing. I wanted to show you where those motor bolts are. There's a hole, there and there, and then those 2 positions there are the studs that stick out of the back of the engine block that slide in here. Now that being the important part is that there are spacers between this and the engine. Be sure you do not lose them. Do not lose these spacers, because it will make it a very tough time to get it back into the same position as it needs to be. Hence the reason why they put the spacers there, so that it can space the engine properly, make the belt alignment proper, and it keeps it from being all sideways and wonky in there when you go back in with it. So keep that in mind guys, and to put it back in, you just reverse this process and you'll be ripping one more time. So hopefully this video helps you guys out. Don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe guys. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless.